Uh, Greetings and welcome everyone to our webinar on digital transformation. My name is Maya and I will be your host for the next 45 minutes in a sort of warm-up session for the big virtual tech job fair taking place next week from October 17th till October 19th. Participation is free. All you have to do is sign up via official website. We will leave a link for you in a chat box. The fair is aimed in connecting talents from across the Adriatic region with organizations that could offer job opportunities for them, to facilitate process of employment, exploration of career opportunities, and interaction between organizations and talents. If any of this sounds exciting to you, you know what to do. And back to our topic of the day, digital transformation is on the rise for a while now, and there seems to be no going back or stopping now. So the ones who have already started with it are now going through company-wide technology adoptions, and those who are just starting are currently facing the challenges that come with it. Regardless of what stage the company is in, executives are in constant search of strategies that will support digital transformation efforts. And on the other hand, talents have to be continuously upskilling and reskilling to try and stay relevant on job market as a potential workforce, human workforce of the future. To find out how to navigate all this and how actually does technology reshape our businesses, I have here with me today two guests. Bojan Radlovic, Chief Digital Officer from Fortenova Group. Bojan, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
And Managing Director of Nucleus, a deep tech venture builder, Matija Srbić. Matija, welcome.
Hello, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Before we start, I would ask you to maybe introduce yourself in more details. Where do you come from? What career options led you to where you are now?
Maybe Matija, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do. Thank you. So my name is Matija Srbić. I'm currently working at Innovation Center Nikola Tesla, which is part of the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing, or shortly FAIR. I'm here working as a program coordinator of a program for deep tech startups called Nucleus. This program aims to help our researchers and scientists and PhD students to commercialize their research results through creating the startups, creating the separate companies, and kind of trying to find the application for the things that they're working on in labs in the real world. Before that, I was actually working on my own startup, so I have a 3 years experience as a CEO of a startup and a startup co-founder. Before that, I was working as a full stack web developer. So I would say immediately after I got my master's degree at this faculty, I started working with the different tech jobs. But now I'm kind of currently moving a little bit more towards the business part.
You.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Bojan. I am currently looking after the digital transformation here at Fortenova Group. For those of you who might have not heard about us, we are the largest private employer in this part of the world with over 50,000 people and 3 large divisions. That's everything from, think about it, from kind of farm to table. We literally have the biggest farm of pigs in Croatia and probably wider, all the way to then food producing, and then through our retailers, and we operate over 5 different countries. What led me here is I think we just as a quick snapshot. So I left Croatia when I was 16, and this is now my first job back. So almost 15-18 years after, depending on which date you count. And throughout my career, I was mostly working in strategy consulting, so in a company called McKinsey for a large part of my career, and then afterwards at different companies that primarily were focused on looking after price comparison websites in Europe and in the US as well.
Cool. Sounds like you are both very competent to have this discussion today about the topic we are about to have. Before we start, I would just like to remind our audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop a question in a Q&A section in our chat. We will return to it either during the discussion or just at the end of it. No worries there. Before we start to talk about digital transformation, I would like to go back to you personally for a bit. Could you maybe share your story? How did you end up in tech? Where did your passion for tech come from? How did you end up on this path you are on right now? Maybe Matja.
Well, I would say that my kind of love with the tech started in early days when I got into video games. So basically, as most of the young male population, I enjoyed playing video games, and to be able to do so, I needed to understand computers a little bit and how to, in those early days, to get those video games on the computer, crack them, and play freely on multiplayer modes. So basically, to be able to do so, I needed to understand computers, and through the computers, I got into a little bit into the programming. And when I saw what are the capabilities of what solutions I can make through programming, I wanted to after the high school started working something similar in that direction, and that's why I started. I got onto our faculty of electrical engineering and computing, and there I saw there are a lot of opportunities to kind of continue working with the technology. I got a little bit into the Internet of Things, and after that, the hardware also, not just the software. And after that, I saw that technology is actually just a tool to solve different problems, and I saw that I'm really good at problem solving, and I like puzzles, and I like to try to solve the different problems. And after that, I started my own startup, and whatever I do currently is kind of connected with the technology, since we are working with a deep tech startups, and we need to understand. And that's why I see a lot of beauty in it, and I see that there is no kind of limits what you can do with the technology, and you have to just to be creative and I would say brave enough to try it.
Bojan, did you also started playing games? Or
no, I was really bad at games. I think that's why, and I stopped doing everything that I wasn't really good at. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I found that, in these games, especially the shooting games, they would shoot me immediately, and some people even use knives to kill me. Matja would probably kill me in these types of things, but
so I was that guy who was getting a record on you.
Yes, yeah. But I think for me was actually, I think it came from this idea that I could build on this problem solving part. That part I loved, puzzles, solving them, and I realized very early on that there is a deep gap in between what people that we call business people do and think, and how they think and how they operate, and then what people call the old-fashioned world for IT technology and whatever. And there seemed to be that if you put them in the same room, they almost needed like a translation, almost as if they're speaking completely different language. And I found myself to be in that niche where I really enjoyed playing that translator part, trying to understand what do they actually want to say, and what do they want to do, and what drives them, because different things drive those two parts. And luckily enough, this was right about the time where people started talking about agile, started talking about digital, and I realized that actually this translation and this translator that I was becoming is actually this person that is called digital. And so I just went for it and kind of rode the wave.
It's interesting hearing you mention both the problem-solving part, because while preparing for this webinar, I came across one study where they asked a set of CTOs around the world what skills are they looking in when hiring software engineers. And the first three were ability to learn, ability to collaborate, and ability to problem solve. And coding didn't even make it in the first five. So, okay, Bojan, let's start with digital transformation, and maybe you tell us how actually digital transformation impacted all traditional business models, and what opportunity does it now present for professionals in a job market?
Sure. So I think the digital transformation, let's say, it started, let's say 10, 15 years ago, and different industries are typically kind of at the forerunners, and then you have like industries that are kind of lagging behind, and you have a constant kind of cycle of doing that. And whereas it seemed to be before digital transformation, you had a thing called transformation. It was just transformation. How do you optimize doing things? You know, how do you do it better? How do you do it more efficiently? And then digital transformation became kind of a project that you run. It kind of sits on the side, or maybe you build some kind of cool campus that is outside of your core, and you start to see how you can impact your core business through innovating outside of it. And then I think what is now happening, which is kind of which I'm really happy about, is that companies are starting to realize that in order to properly do digital transformation, it's not a project. It's literally how you do things, how you make every single decision. How do you do it in a way, and it's a bunch of really small things that are kind of knitting together towards something that we are calling digital transformation. What we have, for example, in Fortenova, we have 3 pillars of it. So the first one is all around data. We have so much data, and how do we turn ourselves from being a data rich to becoming a data driven organization? So all of the AI models, all of our data science, everything kind of sits in that first pillar. The second one is all around customer. So how do we get closer to our customer? How do we give them a better customer experience? So all our loyalty programs sit in that bucket. And the third one is around innovation. So how do we think about how can we become, if you think about all of the things that we have, logistics, we have distribution, we have the brands. How can we become a platform for tons of startups, for example, from Matia's world, that we could be either strategic investors or buyers or whatever it is? How can we become that platform where this ecosystem can flourish? And I think the key in that, and you will find, to whoever I speak to who is on my similar position in all sorts of different companies, everyone has a similar pillars. We try to use kind of copy each other's words. But and thank you for doing this in English, because it sounds much better than in Croatian. But effectively, the key part there is that it's all about being data driven, all about being customer centric, and all about turning yourselves from being something to being something plus, whatever it is.
This sounded really great in English. Thank you. Matija, where do you come in with this nucleus where you are trying to develop and commercialize results of academic research? I would really like to know, what do you see as a main benefit compared to startup ideas coming up that people come up with randomly? So why the ones coming from the nucleus are better?
When I'm explaining nucleus, I also like to use the word that Bojan used, and that's the platform. So basically what we do is we are trying to connect the 3 worlds, the academia or the research institutions, startups, and market leaders as Fortenova Group who can provide different things. So basically from one side, we have that academia has a talent, have the innovation, has the technology, has the intellectual property that can be beneficial for people in the real world. Usually doesn't have those skills how to create the product or the service from it. It doesn't know how to sell it, how to acquire the customers, how to approach those customers, how to build a brand. That's why we have those market leaders who already have the sales channels, the people who understand their customers. They can do the market research on a part of or the segment of their market. They have the experience in building products and different services, and they know how to scale those products on different markets. And from the startup part, we see there's an opportunity to get the knowledge that neither of those sides have, and that's about how to do it quickly, how to do it with a lot less resources, and how to get the funding from the VC or the venture capital and the angel investors when you need it. So they are there for the flexibility and the ability to solve problems really fast with a little resources and without anything, and working on like pizza and Coca-Cola for several months and not needing anything else, just the pure enthusiasm and motivation to do something with the technology and knowledge they have. I would say that we focused on the deep tech and on the science-based startups because we see Croatia as a country full of great engineers and scientists, and many people from Croatia go work in great companies or like Facebook, Google. They work at different big universities like EATH Zurich or Oxford or Cambridge or whatever. And we see that they are kind of have a great reputation there. They're becoming the experts or the leaders who are bringing different solutions, technical solutions on the market. For those, I would say, general startups like, I know there's a lot of tech behind Uber, Airbnb, and similar, but I would say for those startups, it's more important to be good at sales and at scaling. And this is something that we in Croatia don't have, at least not, you need a lot of people to be able to do that. And for the deep tech, you need very specific knowledge in a specific field and understand it really, really deeply. And you can do a great solutions with a lot of less people. And as we see, the Croatia or the population of Croatia is getting smaller and smaller, but we still think that with those people that we have here, those experts, we can build great stuff. And with just like a bunch of people or small teams, we can create solutions that can be available for the whole world. Naturally, we cannot do that alone at the faculty, and that's why we have Nucleus as a platform for trying to find those great things that we are developing at faculties and research institutions, then teach them how to develop those ideas, how to validate them, how to do the market research, how to get the money and everything you need to know about the business, and then connect them with the market leaders who are there with already built channels and the markets and the challenges. They know where we can apply that technology and solutions, and then can have that like a great collaboration between those three sides.
Feels like this is a pitch for me, Maya.
Exactly.
This was a perfect pitch. Yeah, thank you, Matija. Before we go on, I would just like to ask our organizer to maybe put up the first poll question for our audience. We would like to know: are you afraid that your knowledge and skills won't be much in demand in the future? While you answer that, I would go back to Matija just for a second. If you could, in short, clarify what does deep tech actually means and stands for.
When it comes to deep tech, I would say it's similar as a startup. Everybody has their own definition what it is. For us, the deep tech is something that is coming from the research institutions. So basically a technology that somebody spent several years working on. And now after a lot of testing and a lot of research, they have something tangible that can be applied somewhere in the real world. So basically not something that can anybody from us kind of create or just think about it over the night or through one or two brainstorming session, and now let's code a app and let's try to sell it somebody, but something really specific and something that you need to put like a years into developing the actual technology and then applying it somewhere.
Thank you, Matija, for this. It seems like almost 80% of our audience is not afraid about the future, and I don't believe they will remain in demand. The rest of them we have to reassure now during our conversation. So Bojan, maybe you could comment a bit on this while answering on my next question. There is a skills gap that has emerged in the labor market in recent years, that's for sure, with reskilling and upskilling of individuals becoming increasingly important. What is the skill set of the future, in your opinion? And if you would have to equip me or our audience with set of skills that will for sure be needed in the future, what would it be?
I think the most common myth, and this is probably the most asked question that we are getting all the time. People love to ask me, so does this mean that we are not gonna have more people in Consume or whatever? We are still, there is nothing to do this has nothing to do with kind of with making sure that robots or whatever it is are replacing people's jobs. I think in order to remain competitive, all you have to do is basically follow those three things that you said, Maya, that every startup founder is looking for. And as you have seen, the skill set that they are looking for is actually what we call, and we shouldn't call them soft skills, because those are the actual hard skills that you can learn. I think Matija is right to say, and I have seen this, that Croatia and Croatian kind of mentality, and in general in our region, I don't think we focus too much on this and teaching this to the to the students or into the early grads, and everything is just focused on just be really good at maths or just be really good at engineering. But as Matija said, and I'm really glad that something like this exists, because that is not gonna take you that far, because you could be the best at it, but if you can't sell yourself or sell this product, and you can't talk about it properly, if you can't do that, then you're kind of then you're dead at the start. So to summarize, effectively what I would suggest and what I would think to everyone is that keep working on yourself, but not working on yourself from in terms of absolutely academia and all of these things are amazing, but put yourself out there in situations which are uncomfortable to you. Try to solve a problem that is outside of your domain. Go and help your grandma optimize her apartment on an island on Hvar. How can she get a better rental yield? Go and throw yourself to any 5-10 different problems a year that are completely outside of what you studied, and create yourself a versatile skill set in problem solving. Never give up on things that you go for. Showcase to yourself and to people who are going to interview you that you have started and ended something. And doesn't mean that it has to be a success. I love the most when people tell me, I had a startup and it was amazing, I learned so much, and we failed because we couldn't raise the next amount of funding or whatever. I'm like, amazing, because you know when to call something quits and you're comfortable with it. So I'm deeply passionate that this is the direction of travel, and just be open to learning new things. Matija has told me and has said this even earlier before here. It's not about the tool, it's about how you can make use of that tool. And the tools are going to keep changing and evolving, becoming even better, but it's on us on how we're going to use it. So I think those are the key things that I would call out, especially early in the career, because then that's when that's where you can do these things at a much faster clip. You learn much quicker.
Great. If some of our people in audience are thinking about starting a startup, maybe the next question for Matija would be interesting. I heard you say once that you do not create startups, you create startup founders. And it was really interesting to hear, because for me, it would be the first idea that maybe the great idea is enough to be a great startup founder. What do you find, what knowledge, skill sets and attitudes do you find startup founder needs?
I would just like to add to what Bojan said, because I was also a startup founder of a startup that failed. But basically what I learned through that process is something that brought me here and enabled me to do what I do today. And when we talk about the statistic about the startups, it's not on the startup side, because usually like 10% of startups was successful from the start, and the rest of them usually fail, and they pivot, or they try to get in some other directions, try to find their other market, or even try to use different technology. And usually those people do not stop after their first failure, and they continue trying with different people, with different businesses, with different solutions, and eventually they are successful. That's that success over the night that lasts for the 10 to 20 years. And that's what we are trying to teach them. So basically, If you have something, we're trying to teach them not to start with the technology. This is especially hard because we are coming from the engineering faculty and from the science side. We are trying to teach them to start with a problem, try to find a problem which you think that should be kind of big enough for solving, worth solving, have enough people who have that problem, and that is really kind of creating the pain for the specific customer. Then try to understand that customer. This is something what, again, when we are trying to build the solution, we usually try to code something or create something, some hardware based on our skills and based on the things that we like and we think or kind of have idea how that should how should that look like. But what we need to do is talk with our customers and see what they actually need and what would they like to have to solve the problems. And after they have that part regarding the idea validation and the market research, we teach them about the business development, about pitch and storytelling. So basically how to do a public speaking and how to create the story around your product, how to sell it, try to sell it. We teach them where to get the money. So basically about the fundraising and talking with investors or venture capital funds. We teach them about opening the company and what you have to understand about the accounting, about the legal stuff regarding the company, running the company. We teach them about project management and working in team. And we also provide them a network. And I think that building your network with people who are there to help you, to having good mentors or having a good advisors in the start is really important for a successful startup. And that's why we are trying to kind of connect our startups with the specific people who are really eager to help them, who are there to provide a value for them and who understand their either the customer and the market, either the technology they are trying to apply for solving the problem. So basically we are trying to get them the complete picture, the complete structure around the startup development. And even if they are not successful at the first try, what is usually a situation, they will have a great head start for the future adventures and trying to build a successful startup in the future.
Well, to me, it sounds like you teach them everything and there is no way to fail after no close.
Well, usually we have a really good success rate. For the last 3 generations, our success rate is around 30%. So that means that 30% of the companies or the teams who enter our program leave the program with opening their company and getting their first investment or grant, and then continue working on the startup. So basically, from all the companies or all the startups that enter our program, 30% of them is still alive and working on the exact startup. And we have, like, I would say, around 20% more of them who are working on similar things, and they started their second startup. So basically, I would say that we are in a really good situation. Yeah.
Bojan, talking about innovation and startups, maybe this is a good time to mention something you have in Fortenova that is a bit different than everything else in portfolio. I'm talking about Data Lab and how maybe that is a space in your universe where startups could maybe find their place in cooperation with you.
Yeah, so basically 2 years ago we have decided that we have, again, to Matthias' point, we have a lot of business problems that require solving, that we thought we could solve with technology, or in this instance with data science effectively. And so we have launched a little nucleus of data scientists that we now have almost 20 that are working together jointly with the business to make sure that we can optimize or actually effectively transform the way how they do things. So examples that we do is automatic ordering of let's say fruits and vegetables. So if you think like how much fruit and vegetables we are selling every day through all of our different retailers, right now the way how it used to work as a store manager would just say, hey, I think I need this many kilos of bananas and I need this. Oh, tomorrow is Easter, so I need, how do you say rotkvica in English? But anyways, So basically, effectively, you're working with a lot of variables in your head as a store manager, and you have to think, tomorrow is the day where the pensioners are getting their money, and also there are 3 Sundays that are coming like this, and we are now working on that Sunday, and also this, and also that. There are like 15 things, and this is a perfect type of problem that if you give it to an algorithm, the algorithm can solve it for you. This doesn't mean that we don't need a store manager. The store manager is even more important because the store manager is helping us build that tool and is utilizing it. But by the way, now the store manager can spend time looking after the customer, and we can do the automatic ordering of the potatoes and vegetables. And so which is, by the way, fun fact, banana is the single most sold product in retail by far. I didn't know until I was looking at this data, but effectively, so we are looking after all sorts of different use cases like that, and we are building a team that effectively uses agile methodology, that is working in sprints, that is solving business problems, and now we are almost 2 years into this journey, and I can see that we are making a very large impact, both monetarily, obviously on our scale. Every single percentage change to our gross margin is invaluable. But not only is it good for us, but it's also good for our people in stores because they can spend more time doing something else, and it's also good for the customer because the other thing that we are working on that we are really excited about, and we are actually collaborating with someone with a professor from Matthias University. On this is how can we build an assortment that is dedicated to a particular store given the circumstances around it. So whether it's next to the hospital, or it's next to this, or it's next to that, and you have the ability to put different products on the shelves depending on who you think or what do you think your customers would really want to find. These things would be impossible to do without using AI and without using advanced analytics. So we are really excited about that. And so if we think about fast forward where we want to be in your question with regards to ecosystem, I think there is space, and I was writing down as Mattia was saying that all of the things that he is working on are things that we want to be that third leg of that equation at some point in time in the future. We're just too big to not do this. We have literally everything that you can imagine. Any single problem that you can imagine in the world, we have it, and we probably feel it. So if there is a team out there that is smart, that is hungry, and wants to help us solve a problem, we will be ready for it. We just want to do this properly, so we are building an infrastructure around it in order to make sure that once we choose someone to help us, that we can actually provide them the support and the prioritization that it needs, because that is the killer of all innovation. If you don't have a very clear mandate and a very clear objective. So I think that's definitely something that I am personally looking very much forward to, and one of the big reasons why I came back to this region is precisely because I want to be helping in one way or another the entire ecosystem flourish. So now I'm doing it for Fortenoa, but I would love to be able to expose that even more externally towards the startups.
Okay, the future sounds bright. Mattia, there is a saying going something like this: there are decades where nothing happened, and there are years when decades happen, or weeks. So maybe not weeks, but years are actually what we are talking about when we are talking about emerging technologies. It seems like they're popping out of everywhere all the time. So my next question would be, what actually are the key technologies driving digital transformation today out of all of this that's happening around us?
I would just like to give kudos to Boyan for creating the structure and procedures inside the company for working with startups, because that's really important, because usually you get that matching part where, hey, this is a startup who is solving the solution, solving the problem for you. Here's the company that needs the solution, but now what? And having the procedure inside and people who will be dedicated for those kind of collaboration is really huge. So great thing you have it, Boyan. So regarding the technology,
don't have it yet. But we'll
working on it. Okay.
No pressure, no
No
pressure.
pressure. Yeah. Regarding the technologies, yeah, as you said, there's a situation currently with artificial intelligence, which is perfectly describing those not happening anything for the years, and now in the weeks there's everything happening. It looked like to us from the outside, because from the inside this was also a thing happening in the years and the decades before. But now when a lot of people are getting involved in that, using that technology, now we see all the possibilities for that technology, and now all the different solutions are emerging. I would say besides the artificial intelligence, or specifically generative artificial intelligence, I would say that currently there will be a lot of interest in cybersecurity, because this is, again, we can see a lot of applications and a lot of different threats with regarding the cybersecurity with all the different AI solutions and AI tools. Then I would say there will be a huge need for the high performance computing, because again, if you are doing anything in the area of the artificial intelligence, or before that there was a huge wave of the blockchain and crypto, you again need a lot of processing power, and that's why I think that the high performance computing is again really important for the digital transformations and applications of all the tools that will be available to us. Maybe Internet of Things also. It was kind of popular, I would say 5 to 10 years ago, really popular, like the AI is currently, but it's getting back. It's not a buzzword currently, but there's a huge applications of the IoT, or the Internet of Things, because data collecting and creating the data set is really important, and through IoT we can collect data for the things that we were not able before, and then it can be applied for different AI solutions. So basically I would say those four, maybe again in the energy there's a lot of opportunity with the new new sources of energy that we currently are not applying. This is also the future, but I would say those kind of areas or the technology applications are something that will shape our future.
Boyan, some of these technologies Matija mentioned, you probably used in more than one digital transformation project you led during your time at McKinsey for clients within various industries. Now you are at the front of one digital transformation in your group. So maybe you could share some of the digital transformations that happened in the past that really have significantly reshaped businesses in some of the industries. What really, what is worth mentioning now?
Yeah, I think the maybe two examples. One was a bank, in the European bank, which was a very old school bank. You know, people considered it very safe and sound, but at the same time very kind of offline, very stern. If we ask people, you know, how would you perceive this bank, and people thought about it as a white old man with a suit and tie. So that was the brand, kind of the brand image of the bank, and the bank saw that it was that it really didn't really understand, you know, who is their customer. It was too big. It didn't really focus on anything, and so we have taken that challenge on, and we have effectively built a bank within a bank to start from scratch, effectively, you know, to really be digital first. Everything was done through digital. It was the persona we had was a kind of your hip aunt, you know, that was kind of like someone that is your advisor, but it's like someone you call for advice, but it's also someone that you're supposed to talk about something that you might not want to talk to your parents about. And within And really, the really positive side is that they knew that they needed to change, and we kind of went on to change it, and we effectively managed to, within 2-3 years, almost completely stabilize the company, because no one would connect these two. Nothing was the same, and we felt from the moment in the beginning where everyone was kind of like just saying, "Oh, this is something random, you know, no one is going to go for this. Who would want to do this? La la la," all the way to everyone from the old quote unquote bank was applying, and we had around 20-30 applications for every single spot that we had in the new cool bank. And for us, that was the start of the journey, where then afterwards people saw that this is the way forward. And now, you know, talking to my colleagues who are still there, effectively you have seen that the older bank as well has done that, has moved on. And I think that was really cool. And the other one was a completely different one, where this was more of there was a product on the market that wasn't really fitting anymore, and you had to do something about it. And we effectively all we had to do is change something completely upside down. So, and we used different tools and different kind of scientific tools that we could find at that time in order to do that. So you just imagine that you suggest to Coca-Cola to start selling, you know, something, chairs. You know, it was that kind of change that we suggested, and it was all followed through with a large kind of focus on digital first, customer orientation. So that was the other one that I found was really exciting to work on. So, you know, first one was transforming the old bank through showcasing how something works. And that's always the best thing about digital transformation, is not to take one huge project, but to take proof of concept, we call it. And you just need small group of people, not a lot of noise, just a small group of people, not like large documents, 200 pages, strategies, nothing. Small focus group, small proof of concept, do something, showcase it. Business will say it works, rock and roll. And that's basically what every time that it succeeded, that was the case. Every time that it didn't succeed, it was because we started too big, and we started with a lot of presentations. We started with a lot of big ideas, and then you know, life happens, and then you kind of lose track of things.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the difficulties. I would like to know from our audience, if we could have the second question up. What do they consider to be the biggest challenges when a company starts with the implementation of digital transformation? Is it a lack of skilled workforce, resistant to change from employees, integration issues with existing systems, budget constraints, or unclear digital transformation strategy? I will give my answer. I won't tell you what it is. And while we wait for them, maybe Matija, you could shortly comment what are actually the potential challenges and risks associated with digital transformation, and how companies navigate through them.
I would say that people are the main threat to the digital transformation.
I would agree.
Yeah. I think that was one of the answers in the pool. People who don't want to change, they are not interested in the new solutions. They are kind of used to something, and now they're working on it for the last 20 years, and now they need to change. It's not easy. Then people who are on the C-level or the managing positions, who are not understanding or not preparing the strategy for digital transformation. And then there's a lot of procedures that need to change during that process. And I think that could be also the kind of big problem for the digital transformation. All the regulations regarding the digital transformations, then there's ethical issues or legal issues. For example, if you have a self-driving cars, there's still that question, who is going to hit if there's a situation, if you can hit the passenger or kind of injure the driver. Then the people who are actually using the technology and creating the digital solutions, but they don't understand the people, and they are not building it to solve the problems or around the people and bringing the better customer experience, just applying the technology. That could be also the issue. So I would say that we need a lot more than just the engineers and tech people to kind of transform the companies and helping them to evolve digitally. There's a lot of need to involve people from the legal side, from the ethical side, from the design side. Again, have visionaries on the C-level positions who understand why they are doing it, and that they will see the benefits from it in the future, not tomorrow, but maybe in like a couple of years or even further. So I would say, again, to summarize it, people may be here is the resistance to change from employees is the result. So basically, I'd say I answered good. I give a good answer.
You were on point, yeah. So I think we are running out of time, but I would like to comment on a couple of more things shortly. Maybe, Bojan, we could go back to the fact how the digital transformation impacts the hiring strategies of companies. Coming from a company of almost 50,000 employees, would you say that the shortage of talents is a myth, or?
I think that it's not a myth, definitely not a myth, but it's I think there is a different type of talent that to what we are used to, and I think that there has been let me put it this way. I think there has been a lot of companies that have been very, very, very sexy recently that have gone through a very tough times in the last, we have seen it in the last year, 2 years, like really cool startups that are starting something. There's been a lot of money out there in the market, and so they've been kind of inflating the salaries of these kind of new hit roles to a drastic amount, and then you have a traditional company like ours that can't position themselves as the same as the same kind of attractiveness level. And so we are in retail especially, but I think in broader, the way how I think about it is absolutely we are on the lookout for talent that is that wants to approach things in a slightly different way. We are not hiring for a category manager, we are hiring for a product owner, we are hiring for a software engineer, we are hiring for these kind of roles. And so I think in my mind, the biggest role that I've seen missing on this market, and I haven't seen it a lot anywhere in this region, is product. So someone that is thinking about the customer and is solving for the customer problem and is at the same time driving the project forward. That's basically the key skill gap that we currently have by a long mile in terms of these new gaps. Of course, we have gaps on all sorts of levels, but that's the I don't know, Matej, if you're finding that, but that for me is the number one thing that I would call out: product owners.
Yes, my final question for you would be how professionals can prepare themselves for upcoming opportunities. Is that it, Matej, what Bojan is saying? Will it be enough?
I would say stay hungry and keep learning, and trying to find something that kind of motivates you and push you in a certain direction, and eventually you will find something where you can apply your knowledge and your experience. And it's really important to be motivated while in the process of learning, to really to understand that there is something what you are trying to achieve, to set some kind of goals, and to talk with other people. To, as I said previously, network is really important to build around yourself, and to kind of surround yourself with the great people who can help you then kind of pushing in that direction you are kind of envisioned.
Thank you, gentlemen. So let's go to questions from audience. There is one, if I understand it right, how can we work for some company or non-government organization, digital transformation? What would be skills and knowledge needed? I think we've already said it, but maybe you could summarize it for once again.
Me?
Yeah, but why not?
Okay. How can we work for some? This feels like cryptic language. What?
Maybe it's for you to solve problem, to see how do you solve problem.
I think so maybe the answer is how can you work in a digital transformation? I guess that's I guess the key thing is kind of what Matija and I talked about. It's a very broad problem to solve, and digital transformation can mean anything from building a new product to building a new AI tool to anything. So I think if you're interested in working in something like this, just keep an eye out for anything that calls out anything about customer, anything about data, anything about innovating. That's effectively anything that you can really think about and you will find yourself in one way or another in a digital transformation. Whether it's called like that or not, that's a different thing, but effectively you'll be working on one for sure.
There is the one, not a question, but a comment I'd say from Christiana. Talent is luck. It can be stimulated in the children or not regarding their environment. I guess I'm trying to say the lucky ones get to develop their talent and some lucky people don't do so. Would you agree with Christiana?
Christiana wants to be a new moderator, Maya, I think. This is like your statement of what is it? Weeks and years. Some technologies take years. That's a really good one. Yeah, I think I don't think there is a lot of things to do with luck, but I definitely agree that stimulation at the right age and in the environment is very good and positive, and that's kind of that's the whole story, I think, of Nucleus, who is saying, we have recognized that we have really amazing engineering minds, but these are the 5 things that are missing. And so let us work on this. It's not, luck or not. It's actually really hard work to get them from to build those soft hard skills effectively. So I think I think I would agree.
Yeah, I would say that hard work always beats talent, but again, there is a big part of luck in it, and but you have to kind of work towards being lucky. If you're just sitting at home and trying to be lucky, like playing a lottery, you will probably not get lucky. But if you are working towards that and you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to become lucky, or you're trying to prepare for when the luck happens that you are ready, then you have probably the better chances to be successful.
Yeah, I think you answered the Christiana's last comment that we are ashamed to grow in public today. I guess there is no place for shame if you want to thrive in this era of digital transformation. You have to put yourself out there. Okay, if you have any last words, I will give you the time and space. If you do not, I will thank you for this really interesting conversation. We could keep going for hours, I think. But we still have to finish because people have other duties, and I thank you for taking time from your hard work and what you do. For everyone watching us, thank you for enjoying another WUMZone webinar. If you still haven't done so, please do sign up for Tech Job Fair taking place next week, and be on the lookout for some more interesting topics, and join us in the next webinars coming up.
Thank you, Maya, for great moderation.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Ja smo mi gotovi, a?
Ja se nadam da jesmo. Da će nam se javiti Tom ili Lana.